Wonderful. Wow, a lot of developers here today. Excited to see everyone, and thank you so much for the foundation for hosting me. Today, I want to talk about the problem of blockchain interoperability. In other words, how do we connect all blockchains to Ton? But why is interoperability important? Today, there are hundreds of chains in the blockchain space, and we're heading to a world with thousands or potentially millions of chains. And in such a world, the user experience is very bad, even for native crypto-powered users. If you want to use multiple chains, you have to often use multiple wallets, bridge your funds from one chain to another, and the whole process takes multiple steps and many minutes. And if this is hard even for native crypto users, how can we onboard regular users and the billions of users that we've been talking about for so long in the space? So interoperability is really about abstracting away the chain and allowing users to have one interface and only have to think about assets, applications, and abstract away the chain completely. But before we talk about how we solve it, I'd love to start by talking about some of the problems historically with interoperability. If we look at existing interoperability solutions in the space, I'm sure first you're all familiar with all of the security incidents. Billions of dollars in the past have been lost to interoperability hacks. And the reason those things happen is because typically those solutions are very centralized. A founder will usually hold a private key where users will send funds, they will give you funds on the other side, and many of them will even claim they're decentralized, but it's really one key held by the core team. And inevitably, once this single point of failure, this honeypot, gets compromised, billions of dollars have been lost. And we've seen this happen over and over in the space. So security is very critical. Number two is scalability. A lot of the existing solutions in the space operate in a pairwise fashion, meaning that if you want to connect a new chain to 100 other chains, you have to implement 100 different connections. So this is not very scalable beyond a dozen chains or so. And next is what I talked about earlier, is that the technology is not easy to use. People should not have to bridge, they should not have to use multiple wallets, one interface, and they should have to think only about assets and applications. So how does Axelar solve some of those problems? Well, the first one is security. We looked at how existing solutions are centralized, and that's why we built Axelar as the first decentralized interoperability solution in the space. When we were starting to build Axelar, we thought, OK, how do we solve for this single point of failure? And the answer was simple, decentralization. And if you want to decentralize a network, the only way we know how to do this is by launching a blockchain. And that's why Axelar was launched as a blockchain connecting blockchains. It is permissionless, fully decentralized, 75 validators and growing. And these are the same validators that validate on some of the biggest chains like Ethereum. So our thesis has always been that we want to connect chains and not impose any additional security guarantees. Well, with Axelar, we have a fully decentralized validator set. So in terms of decentralization, if an attacker was able to corrupt the Axelar validator set, you could reason that they can corrupt the Ethereum validator set or the validator sets of other chains. Right? So when you go through Axelar, you have similar security guarantees as if the chains were talking to each other directly. And the second corollary of Axelar being a blockchain is that we have what we call a hub-and-spoke architecture, where chains have to connect only to Axelar, and they get access to the whole ecosystem of chains that we have connected. So this means that if you're a new chain issuer, you want to connect your chain to 100 or 1,000 other chains that are already connected to Axelar, you create a single connection to the Axelar chain, and through the Axelar blockchain, the hub, you can route messages and information to every other chain in the ecosystem. Right? So single point of integration, get access to all the chains, which is very scalable and can scale to thousands of chains. The second nice thing about this hub-and-spoke architecture is on the security side. Because imagine you have 10 chains connected, and there is something like an infinite mint bug on one of the chains, which we've seen happen in the past and is more and more likely with new VMs being introduced. And let's say there's only been $10 of assets on that chain. If the attacker tries to exit, the hub would keep an accounting table of the assets on every chain and would say, well, there's only $10 on that chain. We're not going to let you exit more than $10. But if we didn't have the hub and we were operating with pairwise connections, different chains were not going to be aware of the funds on every other chain, so the attacker could kill the whole system. Right? So by having a hub and imposing security limits on the hub, we get a much more secure system. So that's it about Axelar. Next, I'd like to talk about how this benefits Ton developers and the Ton ecosystem as a whole. And the first thing, of course, is onboarding new assets to the Ton ecosystem. We have the big ones like ETH and BTC. But what I'm personally most excited about is the equivalent of a savings account on-chain, which is a tokenized treasury bill. Now, the vision of crypto was always to bank billions of people in the world, especially in developer countries where they don't have access to sound money. And today, this vision is almost achieved, where anyone on their phone can hold stablecoins. But stablecoins are still subject to inflation, so it's not a great thing to hold just stablecoins on your phone, right? So the next step to this is allowing people to hold the financial primitive called the savings account, which we can do by offering people tokenized treasury bills. And with Axelar, we can build all of the tokenized treasury bill products that are existing on other chains, bring them over to Ton so that they are accessible to anyone with a smartphone through a Telegram mini app, right? And to me, this is super exciting. And if that's the one thing that we accomplish with crypto technology, I'll say that we succeeded in our mission to bank the world, right? So this is very, very critical, and looking forward to working with the wallets in the Ton ecosystem to accomplish this vision. Number two, and I was supposed to have a video here, but I don't think it's going to play, so I'll walk you through it. You will be able, with one click, to take any asset from any chain and swap into any asset on the Ton blockchain. You just connect your wallet as a user. The whole flow takes something like 20 seconds, any asset to any other asset, and it's a very seamless flow. So onboard any user from any chain over to Ton and Telegram. Third, it's the vision of chain abstraction. If you're a developer, you will be able to build an adapter for any existing application on any other ecosystem, let's say Uniswap or Magic Eden, and through this adapter, create a mini app within the Telegram app so that apps on all ecosystems are accessible through Telegram mini apps. Now, the beautiful part about this is that you don't need to work with the core teams behind those applications to do it. Anyone will be able to build a decentralized adapter on the Telegram chain and communicate through Axelar messaging with those applications. So this is the beauty of open and permissionless systems, and anyone will be able to onboard any application from anywhere and allow users to access them through Telegram mini apps. And finally, we have institutional initiatives. With Axelar, over the past 2 years, we've been doing a lot of work with different financial institutions, and typically those institutions want to have access to both private and public chains. Now, interoperability is very important to them, and public chains are very important to them. After all, BlackRock, the biggest money manager in the world, tokenized their assets on the public Ethereum chain. So anytime we're in a discussion and they're like, which chains can we onboard, it always comes down to, can the financial institution chains interoperate with that public chain? And by connecting Axelar to Ton, we bring the opportunity to bring financial institutions over to the chain and allow them to explore institutional initiatives and work with all the builders on the Ton ecosystem. So looking forward to working with you all on that. So that's all about Axelar. We're looking forward to bringing chain abstraction and seamless user experience to Ton and working together to bank billions of people in the world. If you're a developer who would like to reach out, please scan this QR code. You can reach me out on X, and looking forward to working with all of you in the next few years. Thank you so much.